Yeah, thank you, Arlinda. Hi, everyone. I think we have 300 something now. I'm Amy, very pleased to be one of the presenters in today's webinar. I studied my master's program in Utrecht University, and now I'm working in the marketing department. And we are going to give you some useful information as well as some tips to start your study and life in the Netherlands. Menno, would you like to introduce yourself briefly before I start the presentation?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Amy, and thanks, Arlinda, for hosting as the MC for today. So my name is Menno, and I'm also part of the communications and marketing department. So really good to see so many of you here. I understand that you have a lot of questions. I can already see them rolling in, and hopefully Amy and I can answer most, if not all of them. So yeah, Amy, take it away.
Yeah, so in today's presentation, we have 4 sections. The first part is before you leave, followed by coming to the Netherlands, and then upon arrival, and the last part is student life. We want to cover as much as information as we can to prepare you for studying at Utrecht University. And don't worry if you miss something, because we will send you a link of today's recording later this week or next week. So you can see it on our YouTube channel. So
sorry for barging in. I was just wondering if maybe Eva is already there and would also like to introduce herself, our alumna.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure if she is tuning in at this moment, or maybe she just logged in and will join later. But in case you're there, Eva, do you want to turn on your audio and camera quickly to introduce yourself? Oh, that wasn't me. In case it's Eva, you have to click on 2 red circles with a camera and with an audio. Yeah, I see something happening.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, there's another circle that you have to press for the sound, because now we only see you. Yeah, sorry.
Great.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, so it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Yeva, and I am from Lithuania, Litauen, if that's easier. And I have graduated from Utrecht University last year, so I didn't get my diploma yet, actually. So yeah, I'm here and I will talk a little bit later. So good to be here.
Great to have you, Eva. And also keep in mind that if there's anything during the presentation that you really feel like you want to chime in or add something from your personal experience, then just feel free to do so, because I'm sure that your experiences will be extra valuable to our students as well. So don't hesitate.
Yeah, okay, that's very true.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me start by our updates of COVID-19. So this topic has been around us for several months. So even though there are some European countries like here started easing travel restrictions recently, but we all know there are still a lot of things up in the air. And I know like most of you are excited about coming to Utrecht, but at the same time feeling overwhelmed by the entire situation. So even we cannot predict what will happen, but there are some points we want to highlight here. So first of all, we put everyone's health as our priority. So you should also take your health into consideration when you make any decisions. And secondly, our new semester will start on the 31st of August this year. And we hope to see you on the campus. And we would like to let you know that you can also start your study even you can't make to Utrecht. We are preparing a combined education form, which means a combination of online and on-campus learning if possible. So if you can't make it to Utrecht, you can still start learning and online and join us whenever you can. So in short, we are not sugarcoating the whole situation. Instead, we want to stress this is definitely a challenging time for you and for us. But we have been preparing for different scenarios to support your study at Utrecht University. Do you anything to add, Menno?
No, I don't have anything to add, and I think that you're absolutely right. Please keep in mind that we also keep all of the information related to the latest developments on COVID-19 and Corona measures on our website. So if ever you want to have the updated information or very specific answers to your questions, visit our website. We have a very large pile of information there. And I see our Linda has joined in, probably because she has something to say.
I'm joined in. This just came in through the moderator room. I'm also in there to see how the chat is going. And we noticed that there were a lot of questions actually about housing and also about the online registration of courses. So just so you know, for the housing, there will be a large portion of this presentation dedicated to housing. So that will come later. So you know. And when it comes to online registration for classes, this is something that happens on faculty level. So your faculty will inform you with instructions about that. So you will hear from them soon. This is just to prevent any more questions from happening.
Thank you, Arlinda. It's so useful to have you as our MC.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, if you have any questions related to housing, we have a session in this presentation. And if you have anything related to your courses, that's on a faculty level. So you need to contact with your faculty. And let's move on to our presentation. So I assume most of you have already confirmed your offer since you're asking a lot of courses related questions. So please always check deadlines that are mentioned on your admissions later and don't miss any of them. Always go to our website like Menno mentioned. And also we have another web page called Welcome to Utrecht. You can always find answers to your questions there. And so let's turn to the health insurance part. I think Yes. So you need to carry a proof of health insurance when studying in the Netherlands. So we always advise you to apply for an European health insurance card. Even though I'm not so sure what it is. Menno, do you know more about it?
Yeah, sure. So for the European health insurance card, it's usually if you have an insurance from your home country, from most European Union countries, on the back side of your registration card, it will say European health insurance card. And if not, you can always inquire with your insurance about this. If you are not taking a job when studying in the Netherlands, this gives you the right to health insurance under your normal insurance policy.
Yeah, so if you want to work, that's another story. So if you want to work, then you will need to apply for another health insurance, which is Dutch basic health insurance. This insurance will cost you around 100 euros per month, depends on which company you follow. But it is necessary if you have a job in the Netherlands. That leads me to the next slide. No. Tuition fee. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to pay your tuition fee, you first need to accept your conditional offer or unconditional offer. And you'll receive email from our admission office. And you can pay either from your existing bank account in your home country. Or if you have a Dutch bank account, you can also pay from there. So you need to pay your tuition fee before the start of your program, which normally is 31st of August. And we don't take a check, credit card, and or cash. So please remember to transfer your tuition fee there from your bank account. Okay, let's go back to the, yeah. So if you want to work in next to your studies, there's no limit. You can work like unlimited hours. So as many hours as you want. But for me, I found it difficult to do any part-time job when I was studying. Yes, there are many opportunities for you to work in restaurant or delivery or whatever, but it's also good to keep in mind that you also need to think about the purpose or goal you want to achieve in your study. And if you want to apply for a study travel product, you'll need to work at this 56 hours per month. And for more information, you can go to duo.nl. The website will tell you lots of details about the student finance. Menno, do you have anything you want to add for this part, or?
No, I think you've explained it well enough. Yeah, I'm trying to also read the questions, and there are so many questions coming in, guys. I see that we have over 300 attendees.
Wow.
So please bear with us as we try to really answer as many questions as we can. Once again, we have a team in the moderator room who will help you with that. So carry on, Amy.
Yes, now let's go on to the housing part. I know it's always on our top 3 frequently asked questions from students. So housing in Utrecht is probably as difficult as applying for your study program, or sometimes even more difficult. So never underestimate the time you need for finding a place to stay. The good news is that students are composed of around 20% of the entire population in Utrecht. And the number of international students is increasing every year. So that means there are always people who move in and move out from the city. So you have chances to take over rooms or studios from those who are about to graduate or leave. However, the housing market in Utrecht is still quite tough, since the city is located in the heart of the Netherlands. So it's also popular for local people to live in Utrecht. So there's something you can think about before you search your search for housing. So firstly, watch our housing webinar on our YouTube channel, because it's a whole webinar hosted by our lovely colleagues Arlinda, which is also our host today, and Daphna, who is in the chat to answer your questions. They were talking about everything related to housing, so you'll surely get a lot of information and tips there. And secondly, we have reserved accommodation for international students, which provided by SSH, and it opens for booking from tomorrow morning. So don't forget to check it out, because those accommodations will probably be gone within a few hours. And thirdly, don't narrow down your search to the city center only, because you may find more affordable places outside the city, and you will still have easy access to the uni and the city center by bike anyways. So as you can see on this map, you can live in those areas around Utrecht and cycle to the city center or science park with 30 minutes. So as you may notice, Utrecht is a quite small city. So let's size it up with London on the map. Okay, here you can see the yellow part. Okay, so it only covers a very little part of London. That is how small Utrecht is. So definitely broaden your search, not just only focus on a city center. Okay, so there are multiple ways for you to find a room, a studio, or an apartment if you want to team up with other people or your fellow students. So you can check this website to find something you like. Sometimes you need to pay fees to view places or to message landlords. If you don't want to pay those like subscriptions or fees, then you can also check Facebook groups. But always watch out for scams when you are looking for a place. And never transfer money to anyone before you sign the contract and get your key. Lastly, if you have any questions about your rental contract because it's in Dutch, then please come to the student service desk, and our colleagues there are happy to help you out. And more tips and tricks regarding housing can be found in our Welcome to Utrecht web pages.
Yeah, yes, and just to add. Oh, sorry. No, I thought that was it. No, please go ahead. I'll speak after this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So tips and tricks. So start looking for a place as soon as possible, and you can use Facebook groups and websites that we mentioned above. Check our website for those links, and so sometimes it's hard for you to find a place that you can stay for like 1 year or even more than 1 year. So maybe you can try like for a few months first, and then move to another place for a longer contract. So temporary housing is quite common, and look for accommodation in a surrounding area like Zeist, the built, because sometimes it's even closer to a science park, where you will have classes there. So it's Menno, can you explain it more, like an interview with your future roommates?
Hospiteren basically means that the people who currently live in an apartment pick the next roommate by means of what you could call an audition. So basically you have to show up and tell something about yourself, and then the people who live in that house decide if you're a good match or not. Obviously that's a bit scary because you don't know these people, and they're going to basically see if you're a good fit or not. And it can be a little bit daunting or sometimes disappointing if you don't get picked. And just remember that if you don't get picked, it's not just about if they like you. You have to also think if that's a house that you want to live in. So make sure that there's a good match there. But yeah, that's one of the very typical things that happens when you're trying to find a room in the Netherlands.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was so scared to do that kind of interviews, but in the end, I found it's actually a good way, because those people are someone you will live with. So it's better that you can talk with them first before you move in.
I actually want to, while you finish this up, Amy, I want to just give Yeva a chance to maybe think if she has anything to add on this topic, because I can imagine that as an alumnus, she has had her fair share of adventures with student housing. So Yeva, if you have anything to add, then please chime in. And I see that you're already turning on your screen.
Just to answer your question, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about my house.
Still loading.
Internet.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
So yes, I think I will talk about my house and how I got it a little bit later. So I don't know, I didn't have the interview with the roommates, but that's because I chose another option. But I will tell it later, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you sometimes you can even have some rental information from local supermarkets. public spaces, places, and cafes. Yeah, you can just ask around when you are here, and just know more people, and that those people know that, oh, I'm looking for a place, and if you know someone, please let me know, and it's probably easier for you to find a place. And yeah, and if you can't find a temporary place to stay in the beginning, then you can stay in a hotel, in a hostel, for the first few weeks.
Okay.
Or
I think Amy.
Can you still hear me?
Are you still there, Amy?
Yes. Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool. And we have some discount for students if you stay at Stay OK. Yeah. So make sure that your housing allows you to register in a city, and we are going to talk that registration more later in the presentation. So this is it for the housing parts. Menno, do you want to share your experience living in Utrecht, or
Sure.
no?
Yeah. I mean, I have some personal experience but I've also heard from other students. And just guys, I really want you to know that in the Netherlands, it's really very common to find temporary housing at first. And most students, they really move multiple times during their program. So don't be upset or discouraged if you can't find something for a more permanent time. It really is much easier to find accommodation once you are in the Netherlands and you have a little bit of network, you're able to quickly respond to ads. So that initial sort of place to stay temporarily is really going to be helpful in you getting something afterwards. And that's just the way it goes in Netherlands, and it's a common thing that people have to deal with. So don't be alarmed if you don't succeed in a permanent option right away.
Yeah, so don't be desperate if you are not picked by your future roommates, and always keep in mind that temporary accommodation is quite common. Yeah,
and the last thing I want to add, Amy, is that really we do have, and Amy already mentioned it, but we have a team of people at the university to really help you figure out if an offer that you have is the right offer for you. So if you have any doubts about something being legitimate, or if you feel like, is this a correct price for what I'm seeing here on offer, we have housing experts that are really there just to give you an idea of what you should be able to expect. And they might not always have a house for you. Sometimes they will, but not always. They will have something for you. But at the very least, they will be able to help you out with a lot of information that can just give you a sense of certainty about the decisions that you make. And we as a university think that's really important, that you will have as much security when you come here in terms of what you can expect from your housing and other matters. So just know that we are here to support you for that.
Yeah, so this is for our housing part, and I will hand over to Menno for the next part. Coming to the Netherlands.
That's right.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to click the next one. So one of the questions that you want to get answered is, of course, you want to know when you should be starting to make travel arrangements. And one of the important things to know is, of course, there's a crisis situation. That was my doorbell. I tried to mute it. There is a crisis situation going on at the moment, so obviously it's difficult to interpret what's going to happen in the next few days, or in the next few weeks. But just make sure that you don't have to make travel arrangements too soon. So make sure that you are admitted to the program and that you know you will be arriving. When you will be arriving, just know that this is where you will arrive on the airport. You can see it here. It's in Amsterdam, the south of Amsterdam. And it's about a 30-minute ride to Utrecht Central Station. The train goes 4 times an hour, so quite often. It takes about 30 minutes. Price will be almost 10 euros for a one-way ticket. And if you arrive very late, keep in mind that you have to realize that the trains will stop running at a certain point. So make sure you are on time. Now, when you're taking a train from the airport, you can buy a ticket at the machine, which you can see here in the picture, or at a specific counter that is open most hours. Make sure that you check which platform your train leaves from. It's usually platform 3, but this can change. And one thing you really have to get a grip of right when you arrive is checking in and checking out. In the Netherlands, everyone has a card for travel in public transport called the OV card. And you always have to tap that in when you enter a train or a bus or a metro. And when you leave it, you have to tap it out. And that way you can calculate the cost for your trip. If you forget to tap out or check out, then it's going to cost you more. So definitely remember to always do that. Now, the Dutch Railway only accepts Ideal for its online shops, and Ideal is an online payment method. This may or may not be useful for you, and this is a way for you not to get charged additional costs. The machines on Schiphol also accept MasterCard and Visa as an exception, because typically these kinds of credit cards are not accepted in train stations or in general. Now, one of the things that is mandatory and is really important for you guys to know is that because of the corona crisis, the use of a face mask is mandatory in public transportation. Now, on this picture, you can see a medical grade mask. I think officially you are supposed to use a non-medical grade face mask because the medical masks are reserved for hospital staff. But just make sure that you have some form of face mask other than a scarf, which is not allowed, but some type of face mask to cover your face. This is mandatory in public transport, so please make sure you bring that with you on your trip. Now, here are 2 pictures of the infamous OV chip cards. And OV chip cards, as I said, are used in public transportation, all forms. There's an anonymous and a personal one. The anonymous one you can simply buy upon arrival, and later you can also get a personalized one. This is a card you can also charge with a discount for specific hours or for specific trajectories if you want to do that. In not all cases, this will be useful for you, and all this information is also available on the website of the Dutch Railways. So take a look at that as well. One app that I can definitely recommend is the 9292 app. There's also a website, 9292.nl, and it gives you door-to-door travel information with the best public transport options to take. Maybe, Amy, do you want to add anything on this? What did you think of the public transport in Utrecht and in the Netherlands?
Well, it's well connected between cities, like big cities. So it's very convenient to travel everywhere within the Netherlands by train. And also, I found it easy to travel to other countries by train from Utrecht. But sometimes I think it's quite pricey.
That is true. Yeah, actually, yeah. In public transport in the Netherlands is not very cheap. I hope that as a sort of to compensate, I hope that the quality of public transport is relatively good. But that's true. It can be expensive, and this is again where the discount cards do come in. For example, there is a off-peak discount card that gives you 40% off in off-peak hours. So if you're traveling in weekends or after classes to visit friends in Amsterdam, for example, this could be a good option for you.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So here are the two types of trains in the Netherlands. There's actually three types. There's the Intercity, which you can see in the top, and the Sprinter in the bottom. And there's the third one, which is the Intercity Direct. This one doesn't go between Amsterdam and Utrecht, but it goes, for example, to Rotterdam and Breda and some other places. So that's an even faster option. But typically, these are the two trains you'll encounter. Intercities are faster, and it connects the main cities. And Sprinters are slower. Even though Sprinter sounds faster, it just means it does short distances instead of long distances. So it stops in more stops. All right. Now, when you are arriving in the Netherlands and in Utrecht, one of the things you'll have to do is register with the municipality where you live. Now, if you live in the city of Utrecht or the municipality of Utrecht, this white building is the building where you will be registering. It's located basically on top of the central train station, so it's really hard to miss. If you think you've missed it, then you just need to look up because it's probably above you. That's how visible it is. And this is something that you do a little bit after arrival. I believe you have to do it within the first week or the first 2 weeks, but preferably as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to bring your passport and your rental contract so that they can see where you're registered in what house. And this is something that is relatively important. Keep in mind also when you're looking for a house, I think we didn't mention that quite yet, that you can register in the municipality at that house. So when you're looking for housing, you'll find sometimes it says registration not allowed. Now be careful with that because you will need to be registered in the municipality at some point during your studies. And so make sure that the house that you find also allows for registration. For a very emergency situation, this is something that you can consider to do a non-registration house, but please know that this is not a permanent solution by any means necessary, and we really recommend and expect that you find a place where you can register. So that's one. There will be a special desk for international students during the introduction time, so it will be relatively easy for you. Obviously, we'll have to see again how this will work out in Corona times, but this is typically how that will work.
Yeah, and once you registered in the municipality, you will have a BSN number, and with a BSN number, you can apply for your for DGD and handle a lot of things online with the Dutch government, such as if you want to apply for your tuition fee loan or like a student travel product, everything you want to handle, you need to have your BSN number first.
Yeah, that's a very good addition. Yeah, and it says here in the bottom, it says, for those of you who've seen it, residence permit. Now, this is not applicable to you guys as European students, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, so I already mentioned a little bit in Netherlands.
Yeah.
Visa, MasterCard, American Express, these types of credit cards are typically not well accepted. Some stores do accept them, and you see it more and more, but typically we really prefer Maestro. Maestro is a debit version of MasterCard, and I think that, well, every bank account in the Netherlands is able to pay with Maestro, and I think for many of you in European countries this is also quite accepted, but just so you know, this is much preferred. There's also an option called VPay, which personally I don't have much experience with, but it is another form of digital payment that is accepted much more than these credit cards that you see mentioned on the left.
Yeah, and especially during this COVID-19 time, stores are more likely to accept only PIN card, so the Maestro card. So they don't want to have like physical contacts with you, and they don't want to accept cash because that means that they need to receive the cash from your hands, right?
Exactly, yeah, and that's kind of the thing that we're trying to avoid. And beyond that, I mean, I know that many countries around the world are having the same sort of trend, but Netherlands is definitely among them in the fact that we're becoming basically a cashless society. for all intents and purposes. I mean, not just supermarkets, but also pop-up stores or pop-up bars, very small things. Even I've had people coming to my door for donations, and they will have a pin machine right there. So, cash is becoming less and less relevant, and the Netherlands is the same way. So this leads me to this slide where we talk about the benefits of having a Dutch bank account. Now, you might have a bank account in your own country that you think is perfectly fine. It's okay, you can keep it, but having a Dutch bank account will allow you to really use much better these contactless payments, as we call them. You can also use a very popular app called Tikkie. Tikkie is an app where you can split costs between friends in case you've gone to the bar, so that if you've paid all of the beers, you can ask for money back from your friends through this app. But you need a Dutch bank account and able to send and receive, send messages and receive money. And also if you want to pay for someone else who's made a Tikkie. So this is another benefit.
And
all right. Well, there's a few banks that you can start open your bank account with. And I think in the meantime, we have someone who wants to make a statement. Is that Arlinda by any chance?
It's
or is
me.
it Yeva?
Yeah. Do you have something to add?
Hi.
Hi. So I would just want to add that it's really, really beneficial to have a Dutch bank account, because at first I believed I didn't need that. And for the first month, I didn't have it. And then several times it happened to me that I went to the shop and then I got my groceries and then I had to go to the cashier and take the money out because they didn't accept my card. So I would really recommend to get a Dutch bank account and card. It's just really saving the time.
Very good addition, Yeva. Yes, very, very true. And I feel like there's many students, even if, for example, you have a Visa Electron, which I think is technically like a debit card, that's still not accepted. So it's really Maestro Dutch. It would be the Dutch accounts would be better. So thank you very much for that addition, Yeva. Very useful. So here are some of the banks, guys, that you can check out. ABN AMRO usually is present during our orientation day. Now our orientation day will look a bit different because of Corona crisis. So I don't know if they will be available online. In any case, we've had good experiences with them. So that's definitely something we can recommend. They have a €1.40 per month student package, which is quite affordable. And alternatively, you can try ING or Rabobank, and these are other big banks in Netherlands. You can see here the documents that are needed. So make sure that you bring all relevant documents to your appointment. When you open a bank account, in person is usually best. All right. So I already said something about this. The orientation days are on the 29th and the 30th, typically of August. But we're working on an adapted version because of Corona crisis. So really the point is for you to get acquainted with your fellow students, with the program, to learn a bit about Utrecht and student life. Obviously, we want to give you a great experience also online. But we're just going to have to see exactly what's going to happen. What do you think, Amy?
Yeah, I remember I attended the orientation day. So there were many activities, like many stands and also like seminars. So I knew a lot of student organizations and also Dutch culture, which is quite interesting. But we're not sure how it will be this year. And we need to follow like guidelines and instructions of the Dutch government. But I think we'll keep our students up to date, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Whenever we know something about what will happen with the orientation days, we're going to let you know. So yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, this is one of the websites that we really recommend. We've worked quite hard on giving you lots and lots of information on this Welcome to Utrecht website. You can find it by going to www.uu.nl/welcome to Utrecht. And there's also an app which also has a lot of similar information. But yeah, please take a look. It's a really good repository of lots of information about housing, arrival, bank accounts, payments. So it really is a resource that we recommend.
Yeah, so all the information that we mentioned in this presentation are based on Welcome to Utrecht. So if you couldn't find anything there, please write us an email and let us know, and we will put that information on our website as soon as possible to ensure that our students can find everything they need there. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Now, one of the things that is quintessential to Dutch life and by extension Dutch student life is riding your bicycle. And the Netherlands has an impressive network of bicycle roads, which really defines also the way that Dutch people get around during the city. So if you are in the Netherlands, there's a very, very big chance, or it's very hard not to have a bicycle. So buy or rent a bike when you're here. A second-hand bike can be between 50 and 100 euros. There is a website called Marktplaats.nl, so which is basically the Dutch eBay, where you can find these second-hand bikes more easily. Also, Facebook groups are useful. And yeah, again, typically at the orientation day, there would be a bike stand where you can buy your bike. But for sure, we're going to have some resources online where you can find bikes for sale you can buy. A good tip is to not buy but rent a bike. Typically, we would do that through a system called swap fiets. Fiets is bike in Dutch. This will cost you 14 euros per month. Might be a bit more now, but it's a small amount per month, let's say, or a reasonable amount per month that will allow you to just have a good working bike. And if it breaks, they will come pick it up and they will give you a replacement bike for that time. So this is something that's quite popular with students and as well. So consider that option too.
Yeah, but I think it's more like a short-term solution, because when you take all the monthly fee you pay for that rental company, then it's quite pricey, right?
Well, yeah, it's a good one, but it depends how you look at it, right? If you're going to stay here for a year, for example, then 14 euros per month could still be good, I think, for like a new bike that you'll get. And if you're doing a 3-year program or a 2-year program, yeah, it might be more useful to just buy one. But it's also a matter of convenience. So I see both reasons.
Sure.
And one thing that you should always remember is that you need a good lock, and preferably 2 good locks. Because the Netherlands might be quite a safe country for people. It's not a very safe country for bikes being stolen, because that does happen if you do not lock your bike properly. In terms of road safety, again, that's very safe because of the extensive bike network. But just you want to make sure that you lock your bike well before someone takes off with it. All right.
Yeah, true.
Your turn, Amy.
Yeah, sure. It's the last part of this presentation, student life, right? Okay, so we have a lot of events on the campus throughout the entire year. And you can easily find all the information on our website, or you can follow us on our Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. We have more information and more updates there. Due to the COVID-19, a lot of events are moved online. So you can still check information there, but we don't have any physical events for this moment. And there are a lot of gyms around the city, and there's one in our university called Olympus. I think it's quite a reasonable, affordable one, because it's like 140 euros per year. But most of gyms are not are closed at this moment, and we still have some online classes. So if you are interested, you can still sign up for the gym membership, but you can only stay at home and have online classes.
I think actually, Amy, that the gyms would open or are set to open on the 1st of July. In terms of like government regulations, I believe that's the rule. If I expect also that Olympus will open then, but it seems that those measures are starting to become more relaxed. So at least that's a good sign.
Yes, lifesaver. After staying at home for 3 months.
Absolutely.
My muscle. I can train my muscle again.
There you go.
Yeah. So we also have a culture center, which is located quite in a city center. But at this moment, there's no events for sure. But I think after July, right? Like Menno, you mentioned that after July, there are more and more things we can do in the Netherlands.
Right. Yeah. The July deadline is, I think, specifically for gyms because they were closed specifically. For Parnassos, you would definitely have to check their website to find out the latest information. But slowly, it will start opening for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw a question regarding learning Dutch. I'm so curious who are interested in learning Dutch. So we have so you can.
We see some responses already for sure. A lot of people are saying yes, Amy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So it's not from my experience as an international student. It's not necessary. It's not mandatory. It's not compulsory for you to learn Dutch. Because everyone speaks English here in the Netherlands. Within a campus or even outside a campus, random people on the street, they all speak English well. You won't find any like inconvenience if you don't speak Dutch. But if you think it's good to learn a new language, then it will definitely make your life easier if you want to stay longer. So we recommend Babel. It's a language center in Utrecht, and you may get some student discounts there. And you can also use Duolingo. It's an app, so you can learn wherever you are. You can also check with Municipality because sometimes they offer Dutch courses, but there's a long list for waiting. So you can maybe, if you are interested in learning Dutch, you can start searching for possibilities to learn Dutch when you are in Utrecht. Do you have any tips for learning Dutch?
I'm trying to look. I think that definitely, if you're interested in learning Dutch, is really just do it. I mean, Dutch people speak English, as Amy said, quite well. So typically, if someone who's not Dutch tries to speak Dutch and maybe is not super proficient yet, Dutch people would maybe prefer to switch to English to sort of convenience the other person and say, oh, no, we can do it in English. But obviously, that's a very bad way to learn a language if other people keep enabling, a more common language. So if you want to learn Dutch, I really recommend you to just use as much Dutch around you as you can and really tell Dutch people, no, talk to me in Dutch. This way I can learn, and don't worry if I make some mistakes. So that would be a recommendation I have. And otherwise, the apps that are mentioned and also Babel, definitely good resources.
Yeah. So I think normally they have summer courses, but this year maybe they canceled. But anyway, you can always check their website for information. And next, we are going to shopping. Menno, is there any shops you like to go do your grocery shopping here?
Absolutely. Well, my favorite by far is Action, which is not a grocery store, but it is a sort of a catch-all kind of store where you can buy anything from iPhone cables to LED lights to
everything.
New bike tires, bike locks as well. So it's really all you can get. What about you, Amy?
Everything you need and everything you don't need, you can always buy from Action.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like Hema because you can also buy a lot of things there, and they are cute designs. I always buy too much there. Like if I want to buy a pen, then I will come out of the store with 2 bags of grocery.
Nice.
It's just how terrible it is. No, like how nice it is.
Yeah.
So for Blocker, IKEA, and I think Action, you can buy some furniture or house decorations there. And if you can see Oberheim, Aldi, Lidl, Jumbo, they are supermarkets. So you can buy your grocery there. Atos and Kruidvat are some kind of pharmacy or drugstores. I don't know how to define them because I always buy shampoo and whatever there.
Exactly. It's from shampoo to paracetamol, makeup as well. So over-the-counter products you can get there. They don't sell prescription drugs. You really need a proper pharmacy or proper drugstore for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's quickly move to food. Dutch food. Which one is your favorite?
I would say this is a tough one. I like all of these, but these are all snacks, huh? People keep in mind. This is not a sort of a daily food. This is more like sort of snacks that you take for drinks or for fun. Oliebollen, for example, is eaten at New Year's Eve. Kapsalon is something you eat after you come home from the bar. So some of them have specific occasions, but I want to know what your favorite is, Amy.
I like bitterballen.
Right, they're nice. They're very nice.
Yeah, because they are deep fried and a lot of flavors. Yeah, so definitely go for bitterballen.
I see Alexandra says kaas soufflé. That is indeed also a very nice one, and not vegan, but it's at least vegetarian.
Yeah, and I heard that it's a good season to eat herring, right? Summer.
Honestly, I don't know, but yes, there is a herring season, and when it is herring season, the herring is extra good. But to be honest, for most of you, it will be a bit of an acquired taste. Because it's raw herring with raw onions, so definitely try it. It's a typical sort of experience, but I cannot guarantee that all of you will fall in love with it immediately. It might take a little bit of time.
Yeah, but I think for people who like raw fish or like Japanese sashimi, that's just a piece of cake.
There you go. I wouldn't go so far as to say that herring is the Dutch sushi, but it's both raw fish. At least it's that.
Yeah. Okay. Except for those, in addition to those snack, we have bread, right? You can. I don't know. Whenever I go to supermarket, I'm so surprised by how many kinds of bread I can get from a supermarket, and also bakery.
That's true. We like bread, but I know that there will be other European countries in the chat that also have a very strong bread culture. There's always fights about who has the best bread. So far be it for us, I think, to say that our bread is nice or not nice. But there you go. That's one of the things that you can find.
We don't need to start a fight here, right? We don't.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's move on to the last slide, checklist. So this is just a quick checklist, and you can see what you can prepare, and don't forget to do something. And do we have Arlinda here now? Or
do you have a question for her?
Yeah, because I'm a bit afraid of we are running out of time, but if we still have time, then we can go for a bit of Dutch culture. So just maybe like a pick of Dutch culture 101.
Our alumni Eva now to talk, because we're almost at an hour already, and we want some time for questioning as well. But maybe she can also incorporate some cultural elements in her presentation.
Yeah, sure. That's yeah.
Hi, can you hear me now? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I will just shortly try to run through my experience at Utrecht, and I will start from my home. Some of the information can be repeated, but maybe that's okay. So I lived in this nice big house 3 kilometers away from the city center, and this was a government building before, and then they turned it into a house for residents. So you can see a lot of windows. That means a lot of houses. That means a lot of people living there. And I found this house through private housing company. So I didn't need to go to the interviews of the students, but I didn't have a chance to see the room before I arrived. It was a tiny little flat, and I lived alone. And I received sometimes questions from other students that asked me should they pick up their flat. And they asked me if living together with somebody else is better or living alone is better. So the first thing I would like to tell you is to really think for yourself if you want to live alone or not. You might not get it instantly, but or like you might not get what you want exactly in Utrecht, but it's always good to know your preferences and then look for what you can get with regards to that. So yeah. So why did I put this picture? It's because it's only one house, and you see a lot of people living in that house. That means really there are a lot of students, as it has been mentioned before. So I started to search for my flat in May before I started my studies. So I would suggest, if you haven't started looking for a flat, I would suggest that you do it now. Yeah, don't. Also, I would like to repeat that you should not get too upset if you don't get the flat right away, because I also knew a few people who were living in a hostel for a month or two because they couldn't find a flat, but then later they some people were moving out or something, and then they just got the places in the months of November or October. So it is possible that if you don't find a flat before you come to the studies, you might find it later. Yeah, another picture that I put in is the roof terrace that we had in the flat, and that for this I had to pay a little bit extra. So actually the rent was quite high in my opinion, but I did manage to get the rent allowance. I don't know if many of you have heard about it, but you can get a rent allowance, which is some money from the government to support you if you have not enough money. So please check if you can get that. Yeah, you want to say something?
I just wanted to add, yeah, no, that's a very good point. We don't mention it because in most cases students will live or many students, they live in a housing with multiple people in a house, and then rent allowance is not available. But indeed, if you have your private accommodation with, like we say, your own front door, so a front door that's just for you with your own house number, let's say, then there are possibilities. But yes, we did not talk about that. Thanks, Eva.
Yeah, no problem. Another thing also about the rent allowance and the registration with the municipality is that if you think that you might be getting the rent allowance, then it's good to register as fast as possible. So that's another thing, another reason why you should register with the city municipality. Yeah, and I put the pictures of the bikes here. It's only the pictures of the bikes in my house, and you can see that's quite many. So it is a lot of bikes in the Netherlands, and I also had my bike as well. And I also want to stand by everything that has been said before about the bikes. It's really nice, it's really comfy, you can get almost everywhere with a bike, but it is also really important to have a proper lock, because I bought my bike on the first week, and then the second week I didn't have it already because it was just not properly locked. So I really recommend to get 2 locks and just lock it. Later I rented this web feeds that was also mentioned before, and I paid the monthly rent fee, and I found it really convenient that they suggested help for me. So it's also an option that you can get, especially if you don't have the opportunity to take care of your bike yourself. The studies at the university, I would say it is quite a lot of work during the studies, and I did spend a lot of time at the library, which you can see on the right of the picture. But the quality of studies, I found it was really nice. The staff was super professional. They would help me a lot, and the other students. And another thing that I found was really nice, that the peers are usually, at least in my experience, they were super motivated and super interesting, and I was really happy to know these people. So I would also recommend to get to know the people who come to study with you, because sometimes it's really a big help and a big support, and if you find the people who are in the same position as you, you can always get inspired, or you can always get some tips on how to do stuff and things like that. Also about the orientation day, I did also go to that, and if the COVID-19 problematic situation goes away, I also would recommend to go to the orientation day, because not only you can go to a lot of a lot of activities are happening there, which can help you find new hobbies or something to do in Utrecht. It also helps you find the people. And actually, my first contacts at Utrecht University was from the orientation day. So I would recommend, if you have the chance, to go there. And also, I would also say that maybe you should, if you like, but I would suggest you try to find your peers on the social media, maybe Facebook groups, because really, when you go to another country, it's so much more comfy when you know somebody. And if you already know them, you can meet up, and then you can just feel better about this whole new experience. Another thing that I get questioned a lot is job with the studies. So actually, I did have a part-time job during my studies, and I don't think it's possible to have a full-time job, but part-time job is possible in terms of what you need to do for studies and for your job. I also didn't speak Dutch, so that's also not a problem. But usually, if you don't speak Dutch, from my experience or from my peer experience, it is the jobs at the supermarkets, or maybe the shops at the restaurants. So maybe if you want to stay longer, and if you would like to get something related to your studies, maybe it could be in some cases that you need to know Dutch. I also had an internship during my studies. I don't know if all of you will have it, but it was quite challenging for me to find an internship, because I didn't know Dutch. That was also another thing. However, I did do it, and I did, because the university suggests quite a few forms of doing your internship. So I did my internship at 2 different organizations, and it was really nice, because I got to know 2 different organizations at the same time, and to get to know my field better. And but also at the beginning, it was quite challenging to know what I want to do or how will I manage to combine the internship. So yeah, if you know what you would like to do, or you would like, something that you would like to try out, maybe look around for the Dutch companies that do a similar thing, and then it could be a big step to finding an internship, I believe. And yeah, also I would like to remind you that it's a research internship, I think, in most of the cases, probably. So still, there's a lot of time spent at the library of the university. And yes, also I added the slides from something that I did not related to my studies. So actually, I was pretty amazed of how many animals the Dutch people have in their parks, from ducks to little Bambis and anything, and you can pet them and you can interact with them. So it's a really good thing to do if you feel like that you're tired or stressed or something like that. I really recommend to go and explore the Dutch parks, because I really found it surprising and really amazing. And also I put up the slide of the nights of Utrecht. Actually, I'd loved to take a night ride with my bike, but also Utrecht has a lot of things to offer and a lot of interesting and unique spots, like bars or like cafes. So you can really go and hang out with your friends and really just explore the city by day and by night. It's a really nice city, at least in my opinion, and I really recommend that you take your time to also know the city, to also know the people that you're with, and study. So it's a complex experience from my experience, and just I would recommend and suggest that you embrace it in many different ways to get to know everything around you. And for the cultural part, I think a lot of things are there, from cinemas to theaters to exhibitions to festivals to touristic spots to really artsy spots to leisure spots. So really, I suggest that everything is also, as it has been mentioned, is reachable within with the train, and it only takes up to 2 hours, I believe, from one city to another, the most, I believe, maybe more, but from my experience. And yeah, you can really go around with the train. So I would say really do so. Really try to find something that you like, where you enjoy being. And my basic advice would be just studies is really important, and we have been there all for the studies. And I know that it could be a little bit stressful at this time, because there's a lot of information and there's a lot of things to handle and a lot of papers to fill in. But still, I really suggest to experience Utrecht and experience the people around you, and also take the time to rest, take the time to leave this whole stress away, or this whole getting things together, because sometimes I would suggest that it's just nice to enjoy. So I really hope you do good with your studies, but you find the time to just enjoy the city and the Netherlands. I think that's it from me.
Thank you, Eva. That was very clear, and it's also really cool to see how you've mentioned the animals in the parks. I think that I haven't seen anyone mention that before, and it's such a nice thing that's what caught your eye. So thank you very much for that. I see that our Linda has joined us as well, so I'll take it to her to decide what to do next.
So we have a couple of more minutes left. We're a bit over time, but we're going to try and answer a couple of your questions live on screen here. So I will enable the question mode here. So now I can mark your questions and then pull them up on the screen, and then Menno and Amy or Eva can answer them. So let's see if there are any interesting questions that we can answer. So if you have a question particularly for Menno or Amy or for Eva, then just please put them in the chat now, and we can answer them live. Or maybe our colleagues have done such a great job answering questions
I have.
during the webinar that it's not
Oh,
necessary
no,
anymore.
that's not what I was going to say. I was actually going to say I've been reading some of the questions on my off time. And one question that caught my eye was someone who asked, will it be easier to find a job if I speak Dutch? And that's a question we get a lot. And the answer is yes, it will become easier. I know that, Jeva, you said that you found one without speaking English. That's great. But I do think that if you are to learn some Dutch, it will help you, even in a part-time job during your studies. And if you're interested in staying after, it will definitely help you find a job afterwards. But I think that we have one on screen now.
Yeah, I just pulled one up for you. I thought it was a nice question. Do students ride bikes in the winter too, or when it's snowy or icy?
I think this is a perfect question for Jeva to answer.
Yeah, I think to begin with, it's not that much icy or snowy in the Netherlands. But if it happens for 2 days in winter, then they still do bike in that weather. And I also did. It's a nice experience to have. And yeah, they still do, I would say.
Sorry, I'm just thank you, Eve. I think that's very helpful. I'm just trying to read the questions to see which one is relevant to pull up on the screen. Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming up about the online classes, of course, and probably you've already covered this, but maybe just to recap some reassurance for everyone.
Absolutely. Let's do a recap, because I can understand this is a lot what's on people's minds a lot. And for those of you who might have missed the very beginning, it'll be good to repeat. So because of the Corona crisis, we
I think Menno has frozen. I was under the impression that people could still hear him, but I don't think so.
Okay, it's coming.
Did someone
is, of course, what happens when you're trying to do a live event.
Exactly, yeah. Did somebody answer it, or should I repeat?
I think you should repeat, Menno. We were under the impression that it was only our fault and that you were still continuing talking.
No. All right. Okay. So there will be a combination of online and offline courses that we will do for the first semester. And that's because we cannot really go back to a fully normal situation right away. So keep in mind that when you arrive, some classes, if not a lot of classes, will be done online, at least for the first semester. And I think that is really something to just be aware of. We're going to do our very best to do as much as possible classes on campus. Yes, to answer the question, if you attend lessons online, you can come to Utrecht in the second semester, so that is in the beginning of 2021, to do the regular program on campus. So this is the plan that we have it now. Either and you have a number of online classes, and during the first semester you can have more and more classes on campus, or you decide to do the first semester online and then join us from the second semester onwards in Utrecht. At the moment, that's the plan that we have, but obviously if things continue in the right direction as they are doing now, hopefully we can ease more restrictions earlier, and should things go worse again, then we might have to tighten some restrictions. And that is a very difficult position for us to be in, because we can only give you so much certainty at this point. But this, I think, at least is a very clear plan, and hopefully something that you can also work with.
There was another question I just pulled up because this also came up a lot during the webinar in the chat, actually, about a student travel project or some discount in the public transport. And I'm not sure if you covered this during the presentation, but maybe just to repeat.
Yeah, there is a student travel product or some discount in public transport. But this basically means you have to buy a subscription to this discount card. And this goes for everyone. So having a job doesn't give you a discount for public transport. It just means that you have to subscribe to a discount card from, for example, the Dutch railways. And there's several options available. Depending on how much you travel, it's either worth it or not. So please do the math for yourself. You can find it on the website of the Dutch railways. It's quite accessible.
Yeah. So it's basically that you have to subscribe for any type of subscription from the Dutch railway company, and the only way that you can get a free travel product as a student is if you have the Dutch nationality or you work for more than 56 hours a month, and you can prove that to DUO, so the Ministry of Education. But that's kind of a process, so that's not something you can always rely on, because every month you need to prove that. So that's the positive.
Yeah.
Maybe this question is nice to answer as well, from Olivia. Anyone wants to say something about that?
Yeah, I think we have a student organization related to LGBT, and in general, I think the Netherlands is quite friendly. It's quite LGBT friendly, and we just had not this year, but every year in 6th of June, we always have a canal, like Pride canal march in Utrecht. But this year it has been cancelled due to the COVID-19. Yeah, so that is my experience. I think overall, it's a country that's LGBT friendly.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm gonna pull up one last question before we round up. I realize that we might not have been able to answer all of the questions that are coming in. We're doing our best. If you have any questions left, you can always email us. You will receive a follow-up email from us tomorrow with a link to this recording, and then you can reply to that in case you have any questions left. But I'm gonna pull up one last question, a fun one about the weather.
What do you think, Yeva? What did you think of the weather?
It is rainy. It is rainy, I would say. I mean, in general, it's quite soft. It's not that cold or not that hot usually. And it's rainy, but still, it's nice. It doesn't really bother, at least it didn't bother me, because it's still gentle. So it's also changing quite a lot. So I think the weather is always good for biking. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, we would always bike, no matter rain or shine.
Okay, I think we will actually round up this webinar now. I hope we've been able to answer most of your questions and that the presentation was useful for you. We will send you the recording tomorrow, as I already said before. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Yeva. Thank you, Menno and Amy, for doing this presentation. And for helping out our future students of Utrecht University. I am gonna close off this event and hopefully see you soon in Utrecht. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.